Good morning, it's Paul from Paxton's here on Paxcroft Mead in Trowbridge. Just wanted to give you a bit of an update. We've gone through obviously a very busy period during the COVID time, and also obviously the main factor being the stamp duty holiday, which is due to end at the end of this month. So if you're not on your way now on exchanged, you're probably not going to hit that date, unlikely. So that's pretty well where we are. I think it's been extraordinarily busy for solicitors. I think they've been drowning, I think, in truth. I've got a good friend who's head of conveyancing, and I know they've all been working ridiculous hours till late in the evening, and then even going back later. So I think it's the property market's definitely started to cool now, and I think probably to be expected in the whole round of things after all the busyness. So prices, from my point of view, remain static as they are at the moment. I think there's been a lot in time past where property prices have gone over and above the asking price. A lot of it's turned into a Dutch auction. I think possibly morals have declined a little bit during that time. Probably a bit contentious saying that, but I think it's probably fact. Money is mostly the driving factor. But there we go. What I wanted to talk about actually is, I started in agency in 1974, straight out of school as a 16-year-old. And I left agency in about 81, 82. Joined Tarmac Housing Sales and Marketing Director for McLean Home South East Limited, then worked for Skanska as Project Manager, Construction Manager on some of the biggest projects in the UK, and then came back into agency again. So here I am. So I've worked pre-internet when there was no such thing as internet, and it wasn't even embryonic. It was probably a bit George Orwell, to be honest with you. But obviously now we are very much in the internet days, and things have changed dramatically. But I think the one thing that has not changed, which is for me, and I think for probably many agents, and certainly buyers and sellers, is the UK system, or should I say the English system, of buying and selling property. And what I mean by that is it's the instability, it's the uncertainty. You have a sale today, will you have one tomorrow? And we've had a number of cases where buyers, some case sellers, have withdrawn right on exchange of contracts, and I've experienced that personally, and I won't go into that, but that certainly happened. And the trouble is that the English system allows this to happen without any penalties whatsoever to either buyer or seller who withdraw. And we've had cases where, one particularly recently, where one buyer withdrew on exchange contracts, literally. But that isn't the first time. That, over my many years, has happened many, many, many times. And it's hideous. It is dreadful. And I know I was talking to Jane, my sales progressor, this week on Wednesday, and she was telling me about a case where the buyer at the bottom of the chain, with 4 or 5 above, withdrew right in the exchange of contracts purely because they changed their mind without any penalty. All the other buyers and sellers above them were ready, packed to go, and of course they're left hanging in this black abyss of confusion and misery, and no doubt anger as well. And I think that's the problem with the English system. It's always been the same, it remains to be the same, unless government intercede, change legislation and implement something whereby buyers and sellers are financially challenged. This system's going to remain, and I think I probably if I was to ask you to name, in terms of how many times this has happened individually, I think that the numbers would be limitless, because I think that the majority of home buyers and sellers at some stage in their lives have experienced this and been traumatized by it. I think it has a long lasting effect to many people. And it's time it changed. It really is. I think that it's just gone on long enough. So, and the other thing I want to add is obviously local authority searches still remain to be an issue. And again, I I was manager of Black Horse Agency's Gascoigne piece in Wokingham in Berkshire until I left agency. And I think it was probably around 81, 82. It had got to a breaking point in terms of the time it was taking to get local authority searches back. And I think at that point it was probably around the 8-9 week mark, which in that time we thought was completely unreasonable. Everyone did. I think all the agents, solicitors, buyers, sellers, whatever. So it was, again, an awful time. And I remember writing to John Redwood MP, who's a member of the Conservative Party, about the time they were taking, the effects on people, their mental stability, emotional. And, again, it was having an impact on sales falling through and so on and so on. And I received a reply back to say that it was something that they were aware of and they were working on, and they hope to bring resolution. Well, here we are in 2021, with the same, if not a worse situation actually hanging over us. And we can't blame everything. We can't all blame everything. Government and council can't blame everything on COVID, because this situation's been going on for as long as I can remember. And at one point during the latter part, probably about 3-4 weeks ago, local authority searches were around 12 weeks. And most listers were then, if they're able to look at getting local search indemnity insurance, to short circuit the system. And I think it's so wrong when that sort of situation has to occur, where insurance policies have to be put in play because the system is just rubbish and always has been. So there's two issues there, for government. For Boris Johnson and his cabinet, and for all governments who are in power. It's not just focused on them, because obviously, we've had all the different parties in place since the early 80s. But it's time again that this situation in terms of local authority searches, was attended to, along with the way that the English system operates, and the fragility of it, the openness of it, and the fear of your sale falling through, either buyer withdrawing or seller withdrawing, or the chain breaking down, there's costs incurred. But also, I think possibly, I'm going to sing from the estate agent hymn sheet now, because I think possibly the one thing that gets forgotten through all of this, is the fact that me, as a business owner, like many business owners who I know, when a sale falls through, there is a cost to us. And I think that, I'm not going to talk about my costs in terms of what it costs me to get, as a business, to get to exchange contracts. But let's say that it's in excess of £1,000, which is fact. And I think that's the one thing that is forgotten along the line. When we sympathise with buyers and sellers completely, wholeheartedly, because we hate it as much as they do, and it has an effect on our mental stability as much as their own. But also, again, I think that the cost to us in terms of financial is possibly greater than sellers and buyers in terms of their legal fees and their survey fees, etc. But that's purely an opinion. So government, it's time to stand up. It's time to attend to these issues, and it's time to deal with them and put them to death once and for all. So I urge you, and maybe it's time that we petitioned government as a people, as buyers, sellers, estate agents, mortgage advisors, solicitors, that we petition government to change the English system. And let's get into a new era, a new generation where there's more stability for us when we're selling or buying property. Anyway, that's my soapbox morning. Hot off the press. That's how I feel this morning. So anyway, I'm sure that there will be many comments on that. If you want to comment on it, I would invite you to do so. Nothing abusive, please. I'd appreciate that. This is done in good faith, from the heart and in truth. Anyway, I wish you all a good day. Keep safe. Again, as I've said many times, COVID is still out there. There's still large numbers of people being infected. We're in autumn now. We're coming up to, well, nearly in autumn, but it seems like autumn. We're coming up to the winter period, and the likelihood is, with the standard flu and everything else, that it's going to rear its head again. So I urge you, take every precaution that you can wherever you go, shopping, in the workplace, with colleagues, friends, children at school, whatever the case may be. I urge you to just tread carefully and take your journey with wisdom and safety. I wish you all the best, and we're approaching the weekend, so I hope you all have a jolly good weekend, a rested one and a fresh one. I look forward to the forthcoming week. Take care. Thanks. Bye.